And they're going to have you introduce yourself.
Let's see your nails first.
Oh, yes, of course.
They're
You
very
like?
nice. Yeah, they're very beautiful. I would have, if I had to. I had a really, really great time playing this character.
Hollywood is all in on Pedro Pascal. The man is everywhere, snagging lead roles in 4 major movies a year like it's nothing. But while most stars climb to the top with jaw-dropping acting chops, Pedro's rise seems to be fueled by something else entirely. At 50, he's being hyped as the ultimate modern man, tough on the outside, but smooth, sweet, and emotionally in tune underneath.
And they're going to have you introduce yourself.
Let's see your nails first.
Oh, yes, of course.
They're
You
very
like?
nice. Yeah, they're very beautiful.
People can't get enough of his charm, and he's even been crowned the internet's daddy, and he's loving that title. And it doesn't stop there. Fans are going wild over how he fearlessly speaks up about hot-button political topics. He's got that rare combo: charisma, sex appeal, and just the right amount of vulnerability to keep the public hooked. Pedro Pascal has officially become Hollywood's golden boy, checking every box for what today's leading man is supposed to be. But not everyone's buying the hype. Some folks are getting tired of seeing his face everywhere and are starting to side-eye the sudden obsession. Critics claim he's less of a rising star and more like Disney's latest cookie-cutter creation, packaged, polished, and pumped out for mass appeal. It's starting to look like Pedro Pascal's fame isn't just about talent. It's more about how perfectly he fits into Hollywood's new social vision. And like every celeb who gets hyped up this fast, people are already whispering that it's only a matter of time before the shine wears off. That same wild obsession that skyrocketed him to stardom, it could be the very thing that takes him down. Before all the fame, Pedro was struggling hard. For 20 years, he was just another face in the background, barely making it. He had one single episode appearance back in 1999, and for a while, that tiny royalty check was the only thing keeping him afloat. He said, "We're talking about being able to see a doctor, getting sick, having surgery, paying my rent. I had less than $7 in my bank account, and a residual from Buffy the Vampire Slayer showed up and saved the day, and literally is the reason I was able to stay in Hollywood and not give up for 2 decades. That's real survival mode right there. At 36, Pedro was still grinding, living paycheck to paycheck, and thinking maybe it was time to walk away from the dream. Then, boom, everything changed. He landed a role that would flip his entire career, Game of Thrones. That show ruled TV for nearly a decade, and season 4, that was peak obsession. You couldn't hit up school, work, or even your neighborhood bar without someone quoting, "Winter is coming." So when Pedro stepped into the role of Oberyn Martell, aka the Viper, he knew the world was watching. And this time, he wasn't just another face. He was about to become unforgettable. Just like most of his early roles, Pedro Pascal's time on Game of Thrones was supposed to be short and sweet. His character, Oberyn Martell, aka the Viper, was only set to appear in a handful of episodes before meeting a brutal end. And what an ending it was. The Mountain, a monstrous knight, literally gouged his eyes out and crushed his skull in front of millions of shocked fans. But somehow, Pedro turned that brief moment on screen into one of the most unforgettable scenes in Game of Thrones history. Fans still call it one of the best duels the series ever had. One person wrote, "Loved Oberyn's confidence. It's been 11 years and I'm still recovering from this scene." It wasn't just the bloody battle that had people hooked, it was Pedro's raw charisma. He brought this elegant yet deadly vibe to the role, perfectly capturing Oberyn's mix of charm, danger, and quiet confidence. And when it came to the character's sexuality, Pedro nailed the balance. No overacting, just authenticity. He once joked, "I'm not dangerous, but I have a sharp nose. I'll probably be playing bad guys forever because of my face." That edge worked in his favor big time. There was something magnetic about Oberyn. He was bold, sexy, unpredictable, and Pedro fully leaned into that fantasy. Behind the scenes, Pedro revealed that while some actors leaned into a flashy performance just because the character was bisexual, he saw it differently. "He seemed so male to me, The fact that he was bisexual had nothing to do with his exterior persona. Pedro wasn't chasing clout. He was locked into the art. After grinding for years in the shadows, he was finally showing Hollywood what he could really do. At first, Pedro Pascal was just thankful to even be in the room. He stayed humble, kept his head down, and let his performances speak louder than anything else. There's even this old interview clip where he nearly slips, like he's about to say something risky, but catches himself just in time.
I would have, if I had to I had a really, really great time playing this character.
That moment said it all. He knew how to play the game. His low-key professionalism paid off big time. Over the next few years, Pedro couldn't miss. Roles were flying his way, from complex anti-heroes to justice-driven characters who didn't play by the rules. He landed a spot next to Matt Damon in The Great Wall, brought swagger and charm as the cowboy-coated whiskey in Kingsman, The Golden Circle, and then scored what many call his second biggest role after Game of Thrones, starring as DEA agent Javier Peña in Netflix's Narcos, tracking down none other than Pablo Escobar. With every new gig, Hollywood couldn't get enough of him. But as his star rose, so did his voice. Like many modern A-listers, Pedro started weaving politics into his public image, just subtly enough to make waves. On Instagram, he shared comics calling out far-right extremists, pushed for stronger firearm laws in the US, and even took some jabs at foreign governments. He didn't hold back. He reposted drawings slamming Brexit as a bad move for Britain and went as far as shading the actual DEA after playing one of their agents on screen.
You know, it was weird because, like I said, I'm from Chile, and I am a child of socialist political refugees. We are very, very liberal. And I can't seem to shake the feeling amongst the DEA because, I mean...
It was clear. Pedro wasn't just acting anymore. He was stepping into a louder, bolder version of himself. And Hollywood was eating it up. Pedro Pascal wasn't out here on some full-blown mission to tie politics into every role. He knew he had a brand to build. And where he really started gaining traction was in his interviews. One that really blew up was his sit-down with Chelsea Handler. The wild part? That interview was supposed to be about Pedro, but fans couldn't stop talking about how he just leaned back, smiled, and seemed more into her crazy stories than his own. That calm, low-key vibe, it drove people wild.
I did one, Chelsea Does Marriage was my first one, which is all about my personal feelings about marriage and exploring with my family. It was very personal. I was like talking to my ex-boyfriends, talking to people who've been married for like 65 years, talking to people who were in...
65 days.
Yeah, 65 days, exactly. People who are in like a throuple relationship, like two women and a man that like operate as a couple. It's called a throuple, that's a thing now.
Pascal's body language and soft responses fed into the idea that he was this...
Pedro's soft tone, chill body language, and that voice had fans losing it online. One fan said, "He has a really hot voice. When he says, yeah, geez, my ovaries. This is what a real man looks like." And just like that, the Pascal Mania era began. The media jumped all over it. Pedro wasn't just another actor. He was suddenly the face of positive masculinity. In a world full of loud, toxic energy, Pedro was the cool, sensual, respectful guy that women swooned over and men were being told to look up to. That new sex symbol energy sparked a fresh wave of massive roles. In 2019, he scored the title role in Disney's The Mandalorian. And this wasn't just any gig. It helped bring in over 100 million subscribers to Disney+. And the show went on to win 14 Emmys in its first 2 seasons. Even though his character spent most of the time wearing a helmet, Pedro's quiet, almost silent performance had critics calling it iconic. Then came the snowball effect. Wonder Woman 1984, the unbearable weight of massive talent alongside Nicolas Cage, and major buzz around HBO's The Last of Us, which dropped in early 2023. That series crushed it. Over 30 million viewers tuned in during its first few weeks, making it one of HBO's biggest debuts since Game of Thrones. Pedro wasn't just trending, he was dominating. It started feeling like every time Hollywood greenlit a new project, Pedro Pascal's name was already on the call sheet. big budget superhero flicks, gritty post-apocalyptic dramas, quirky indie shorts, even romantic comedies. Pedro was showing up everywhere. By early 2023, the media was officially calling it the year of Pedro Pascal. Outlets like Variety, GQ, and Vanity Fair all dropped glowing features on him, celebrating his rise from struggling background actor to full-blown A-lister. He was snagging Golden Globe and Critics' Choice nominations left and right, and whispers of Oscar buzz started swirling. But here's the real talk. Most of the fan hype, it wasn't even about his acting, not really. It was about his vibe, his image, what he stood for. See, Pedro had a few key traits that made him Hollywood's dream modern leading man. Back in the day, actors had that mysterious energy. They were strange, intense, sometimes even standoffish, and that made them feel larger than life. Now, that mystique is out. Today's stars are expected to be chill, funny, and super relatable. They're doing TikTok dances, posting unfiltered selfies, and hopping into viral trends, not because they have to, but because it makes them feel just like us. Pedro slid into that lane perfectly. Social media changed the whole celebrity game. It gave everyday people influence, a fan base, and a platform without needing Hollywood's approval. It broke down the walls between them and us. And suddenly, being too polished or too distant was a turnoff. So when Pedro popped up looking cool, sounding humble, and acting like the chill older brother everyone wishes they had, fans latched on. He didn't have to flaunt a flashy lifestyle. He just had to exist online in a way that felt real, and that's exactly what made him unstoppable. These days, all it takes is a phone, a solid idea, and some charm. You don't need a studio deal to blow up anymore. And trust, Hollywood's been watching. They've clocked how regular folks with real influence can pull in millions of fans, and now they're trying to cash in on that same vibe. They want all the perks of looking relatable, while hoping you ignore the multi-million-dollar cribs, invite-only parties, luxury whips, high fashion, and those shady PDF-level allegations that pop up now and then. Okay, maybe that was a little spicy, but let's be real. It's hard to knock the hustle when it's clearly working. We're in a new era now, one where an actor's online persona can get fans more hyped than the actual movie trailer. Pedro Pascal is prime proof of that. Google his name and boom, you'll find endless fan edits, tweets, and memes calling him a chaotic ray of sunshine, the funniest man alive, a walking meme, or even someone who's restoring their faith in men. He's become so internet beloved that most interviews turn into awkward flirt sessions. Reporters now expect to tease him on camera, like when he was promoting The Mandalorian, and someone actually read a fan comment sexualizing his knee.
Tell us about your slutty little knee? What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Yeah, his knee. Look, being a Hollywood heartthrob isn't a new thing. It's been around forever. But lately, people are starting to question if the whole Pedro craze feels just a little too manufactured. It's like every post, every appearance, every interview feels engineered to make him look like the ultimate dream guy. And now some folks are wondering, is it all part of a carefully planned PR campaign? Because when it comes to Pedro, it feels like every single interaction is curated to build one very specific image. Everything about Pedro Pascal's public image feels custom-built for viral moments. The way he answers emotional questions with a soft stutter, rests his head in his hand, and keeps unbroken eye contact while women share their stories, it's like he's hypnotized by every word. And let's not forget those viral clips where he randomly stops mid-interview just to admire a woman's painted nails.
Let's see what you got. What
do you think?
Oh, they're gorgeous and glowy. That's a beautiful. It's like cotton candy with the sparkle. They're gorgeous.
Yes, my love. Thank you. I'm going to have you introduce yourself.
Let's see your nails first.
Oh, yes, of course.
They're
You
very
like?
nice. Yeah, they're very beautiful.
Thank
You're welcome.
you. I appreciate it. Okay, it's naturally food. Anyway,
Can I just say one thing? That
Yes.
your nails, they bring out the color in your eyes. I'm not trying to flirt, but it's so into. I've been kind of obsessing with everybody's. But you did that on purpose.
I
didn't
did
you?
that on purpose.
It
How
really
did I
works.
know?
It's very, very
It's
good.
because I bought this weird, really amazing metal ring, and
That's
I
a
needed to
great-
find something to
It's
go
a
with
great
it.
color.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks.
Thank you so much. And as a fan of your nails, I would like you to show them to me, please. Oh, come on, please.
Seriously, whole compilations exist just of him complimenting basic manicures. Please, oh, come on, please. And hey, no hate on noticing some fresh nails. I can respect that. In fact, look at my fiancés right now. Those nails are on point. But the way Pedro reacts, it's extra. Like he's about to pass out from a simple coat of polish. He's tossing out compliments like candy, and it's got some people raising eyebrows. It starts to feel less like genuine charm and more like he's playing into that whole gay best friend energy. Even though, to be clear, Pedro isn't gay. Still, he clearly enjoys the spotlight he's in, especially the whole daddy of the internet label.
I call Pedro Pascal a DILF and think he's my cool, slutty father. Yep, I am your cool, slutty daddy.
He didn't just accept the title, he leaned into it hard. At one point, it felt like every single interview brought up the daddy thing. And Pedro just kept smiling, joking, and owning it. He knew it was part of the hype, and he was riding that wave. One of the most talked about moments, that Vanity Fair lie detector test. He tried to say he didn't see himself as a Hollywood heartthrob, but the machine caught him slipping.
He's lying.
Really? That's right. Oh. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm a heartthrob. Am I lying? That's the truth. I'm a heartthrob.
Is it a lot of pressure being a heartthrob?
No.
Do you ever look at Instagram accounts devoted to you being a heartthrob when you're feeling down?
Yes, I do.
Lie detected instantly. That moment sealed it. Pedro wasn't just in on the joke, he was helping write it. Every look, every pause, every compliment, it was feeding the brand, and the internet ate it up. Sure, the whole internet daddy thing might seem harmless or even silly on the surface, but let's be real. It's hard to stay humble when your daily content diet is just fan pages praising your existence. Pedro knows exactly what his audience wants because he's watching them, studying their edits, reposting their memes. And when he shows up for interviews, it's almost like he's clip farming, dropping little moments designed to go viral because he knows the internet is going to eat it up. I'm your daddy. Boom, instantly viral. It's tough to argue with how smart this is. Pascal leaning into the daddy image, that's just business. But it does raise a bigger question. How much of this is real Pedro? And how much is performance for his mostly female fan base? Even some of his biggest fans are starting to feel the overload. One fan admitted, "It was cute at first, but I think reporters have taken it too far." It's a lazy way to try to get a soundbite. Interview him, don't just talk at him about a kink and expect him to respond. Another added, "I don't promote anything calling him daddy anymore. It's like you took a bite of cake, thought it was good, and now it's being smashed in your face." Still, those voices were not the majority. For most fans, the love kept growing. The media frenzy worked like a charm, and Pedro kept feeding it back. The result, a full-blown takeover. Within just 1 year, Pedro Pascal went from fan favorite to industry dominator. You couldn't scroll, stream, or step into a theater without seeing his name. And for now, the world seems more than happy to keep calling him Daddy. Pedro Pascal was everywhere. He had just wrapped the record-breaking first season of HBO's The Last of Us in March. And less than a month later, The Mandalorian Season 3 dropped. That's 2 lead roles on 2 of the world's biggest streaming platforms airing at the same time. Then came the bombshell. Pedro was cast as Mr. Fantastic in Marvel's upcoming Fantastic Four reboot. That's a whole superhero franchise commitment. Locked in, suited up, and ready to carry yet another massive IP on his back. But wait, he wasn't done. Between all that, Pedro snagged roles in Ari Aster's twisted new film, Eddington, Ridley Scott's Gladiator sequel, the hyped-up crime drama Drive Away Dolls, and even more projects that stacked right on top of each other. By 2024, Pedro was juggling 4 major productions at once, jumping between London, LA, and Morocco like it was nothing. Just to compare, most A-list actors, they're doing maybe 1 or 2 big gigs a year, 3 if they're really grinding. Pedro, he was locked into 7 confirmed projects between 2023 and mid-2025. That's not even counting side hustles like voice acting or low-key cameos. His agent straight up told Variety that they were turning down 10 to 20 scripts a month just to keep his schedule from spinning out of control. And somehow, despite the chaos, Pedro still looked chill. On social media, it felt like he was always around, popping up in interviews, doing red carpets, tossing compliments, and smiling like he hadn't been on a plane 12 hours ago. No matter how packed his schedule got, Pedro stayed camera ready, always available, always smooth, and yes, still asking people about their nails. By this point, Pedro Pascal wasn't just a star, he was being propped up as the cultural icon of the entire 2020s. And the wild thing, I saw that hype play out in real life. A few weeks back, my fiance and I were grabbing lunch at this tiny shoulder-to-shoulder restaurant. You know the type, tables so close you can hear every word your neighbor says. Sitting right next to us was this girl in her early 20s wrapping up her meal. The waiter came by and asked if she wanted dessert. She smiled and said, "No, I'm saving room for popcorn at the movies," and casually mentioned she was going to see Materialists. The waiter hesitated, then tried to piece together what the movie was about, clearly struggling to remember anything besides the name. As he stumbled through a rough description, the girl cut him off and said, "Honestly, I don't know what the movie's about. I'm just going to see Pedro Pascal." That moment hit me like a truck. I had already been thinking about making a video on Pedro, but hearing that, I had to. Because here was a young woman going to the movies alone on a Saturday. Not for the plot, not for the genre, not even the buzz, just to see Pedro Pascal's face on the big screen. That's not just fame, that's power. But in today's internet age, that kind of fame comes with a ticking clock. The higher someone climbs, the more likely people are to start picking them apart. The danger, becoming what the internet loves to destroy, overhyped, overexposed, or worst of all, fake. And nothing flips the switch faster than when a beloved actor suddenly shifts from charming roles to loud opinions. The second it feels like the focus moves from the craft to the cause, things get messy. For Pedro, that backlash didn't start with a scandal or bad movie. It started small. A little pattern fans began to catch on to something that hinted a shift was coming. A vibe that maybe, just maybe, the shine was starting to wear thin. Pedro Pascal's public behavior with his co-stars, especially the women, has started to spark some real debates online. One viral moment, a clip where he's seen grabbing actress Vanessa Kirby's hand during an interview. Now, Pedro has openly said in the past that he deals with anxiety, and the person who posted the video claimed that hand-holding helps calm his nerves in public settings. And to be fair, Vanessa clearly seemed comfortable. She looked back, made eye contact, and grabbed his hand right back. But this isn't the only time Pedro's done this. Fans have noticed a pattern. He's frequently holding hands, kissing hands, or even running his fingers through the hair of his female co-stars during press events. Sure, maybe they're friends, maybe there's more going on off camera, but people are starting to ask, what if it wasn't Pedro Pascal doing this? Because let's be real, if this were any other guy, someone not branded as the soft-spoken, anxiety-prone, feminist heartthrob, folks would immediately be throwing out the word creepy.
Pedro Pascal does this little like, ooh, he's so baby girl, ooh, he's so socially anxious, ooh, he's so darling sort of body language thing, and he carries it with him everywhere he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not buying it. I think Pedro Pascal has risen quite a bit as far as his heartthrob status, so like playing into this like baby girl, meek, socially anxious sort of lean, and I don't think
It'd be labeled that where my hug at energy real quick, and the internet's already started poking at it. One photo of Pedro posing with the Fantastic Four cast went viral fast. In the pic, he's seen holding the arm of co-star Vanessa Kirby, who in real life is pregnant and in a relationship with someone else. The caption read, "If I saw another man holding my pregnant wife like that, someone's getting a black eye and a couple broken teeth." The replies, pure sarcasm. It's fine, he's gay and has social anxiety. His hand is just above her butt to stop a panic attack. Be considerate. Now, yes, Pedro and Vanessa are playing a married couple in the film. Maybe that intimacy was to help promote the chemistry. But in real life, they're not together, and the baby she's expecting is not his. The issue here isn't whether he crossed a line. It's that Pedro's image gives him a kind of pass, a pass most other men wouldn't get, and more people are starting to point that out. Pedro and Vanessa being a little touchy on press tours, that's nothing new. They've been playing up the chemistry for months now, clearly trying to build hype for their upcoming film. But what really triggered the wave of pushback against Pedro Pascal wasn't on a red carpet. It was political. After Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, Pedro didn't hold back anymore. He got loud. He posted a bold quote on Instagram that read, "Anger restores the gift of clarity of vision, which is hard to attain in any other state." From that moment on, Pedro made it clear he wasn't going to stay quiet. He started frequently posting about global politics, gender rights, and social justice. And if fans disagreed, he clapped back. When one follower commented, "You were my favorite actor. I'm unfollowing you for this BS," Pedro replied, "No." Another said, "Man, you were my favorite actor until this." Pedro shot back with, "That's too bad. Wait, no, I don't give a shit." The posts caused some backlash, but honestly, most of the internet praised him for standing firm and being unapologetically vocal, especially when it came to defending his transgender sister, Lux Pascal. In April 2025, the UK Supreme Court ruled that trans women should not be legally recognized as women, a decision that caused a media firestorm. One of the most vocal supporters of that ruling, J.K. Rowling. She doubled down on her views that feminism doesn't extend to transgender people, especially when it comes to shared spaces like bathrooms or changing rooms. She even celebrated the ruling on her yacht, posting a photo of her toasting the outcome. The backlash was immediate and massive, but not shocking considering Rowling's long track record of controversial statements. Pedro didn't hesitate to respond. One word, one post. Awful! And just like that, he reignited the debate all over again. Disgusting wasn't the end of it. Pedro Pascal doubled down. In his Vanity Fair cover story, he called J.K. Rowling's behavior heinous loser behavior and went straight for the throat by labeling her a bully. He said, "The one thing that I would say I agonized over a little bit was just, am I helping? I want to protect the people I love, but it goes beyond that. Bullies make me effing sick." Rowling, unfazed as ever, shot back with sarcasm. "Can't say I feel very shut down. But keep at it, Pedro. God loves a trier." Now, no matter where you stand politically, it's understandable to defend your family, especially from online mobs. That's basic human instinct. But the moment Pedro started weaving his views into interviews and press events, things started to shift. People began saying it felt less like genuine passion and more like performance. One example? While promoting his film Eddington at the Cannes Film Festival, Pedro took a sharp left turn during a panel and started speaking out about mass deportations in America. He said to have millions of dollars and be terrified to live in America. Oh, the humanity. But that's where the irony hit hard. Sitting next to him on that panel was Joaquin Phoenix, a man who grew up with nothing. He was raised in a cult, forced to perform on the streets of South America just to survive. That man knows what fear and struggle feel like. Meanwhile, Pedro, he comes from a wealthy Chilean family. His upbringing was nothing like Joaquin's, and so when he speaks about living in fear, despite being rich, famous, and protected, it rubbed some people the wrong way, not because his words weren't valid, but because the delivery felt disconnected from the reality most people actually live in. Pedro Pascal's backstory is often framed as one of struggle and survival. But when you look closer, it's a little more polished than that. His mother was related to the nephew of former Chilean President Salvador Allende. After the 1973 military coup, Pedro's parents, both supporters of Allende's socialist government, feared for their safety and fled to the US. But Pedro, he was just a baby, not even a year old when they left Chile. So, while technically a refugee, he doesn't actually remember that part of his life. Once they got to America, his family settled in comfortably. His mother, Veronica, was a respected child psychologist, and his father worked as a fertility doctor. This wasn't a rags to riches story. They lived well. And now, as the shine starts to wear off, former fans are speaking up about what they see as a decade-long PR push that sold Pedro as the perfect man, the face of positive masculinity. But not everyone's buying it anymore. Even outlets that once praised him endlessly, like The Telegraph, are starting to flip the script. One headline bluntly read, "The star who could have Hollywood at his feet if Disney can get him to shut up." Ouch. There's even a new term making rounds online, Pascal fatigue. And while a lot of the loudest backlash is definitely coming from right-wing critics or the anti-woke crowd, even more neutral voices are starting to call it out. Not because Pedro's done anything scandalous, but because he's beginning to feel like the typical Hollywood package, carefully branded, socially engineered, and everywhere all at once. To some, he doesn't represent progress. He just represents the new version of the same old machine, wrapped in soft-spoken charm, dressed up in relatable interviews, but still very much a product of the system. Pedro Pascal has become Hollywood's safest bet. A little bit of everything. He's got just enough edge, just enough class, a hint of color, a splash of soft masculinity, a touch of femininity. He's like beige wallpaper, calm, inoffensive, smooth on the surface, but let's be honest, kind of forgettable once the hype dies down. Right now, Pedro is the industry's golden boy. He checks all the boxes without rattling too many cages. But when someone's that perfectly packaged for mass appeal, it makes you wonder, how long can that last before the cracks start to show? Because if history tells us anything, it's this. The moment actors start making politics the centerpiece of their public image, things usually go south. Fast. All it takes is one off-script moment, one viral interview, one Instagram story with the wrong caption. And that same fan base that once praised you, they'll flip on you without hesitation. One commenter put it bluntly, he's got the aura of incoming allegations. Now, whether that's fair or not, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, Pedro is just a passionate actor trying to use his platform for good. Hopefully, this story doesn't end the way so many others have. But there's one thing we can all agree on. We do not need Pedro Pascal starring in 9 movies a year. Let other voices shine, let new talent break through, because even the brightest star eventually burns out when it's been overexposed. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And don't go anywhere just yet. Click the next video you see on screen for more explosive celebrity drama you won't believe. See you in the next one.